good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before we do anything, I want to give a big shout out to Angelina Romero. She's in the background holding it. Oh, the music stopped. But she's in the background holding it down with the music, setting the tone, setting the vibe for this afternoon. We want to thank you guys for being here. You literally could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with us. Thank you on your lunch hour, which means you chose to be with us instead of eating your food, unless you're eating your food and watching us, which is what I wish I could be doing right now. But I digress. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about today, but to begin, I would love it if every single one of you all could right now share this presentation. I'm sorry, share this on your Facebook, share it on your Twitter. You can go ahead and do a little Instagram live with it. You can share our YouTube link. You can do all of those things. We are socially active, so please follow us on every single platform. And yeah, we just want to spread this information, guys. There's a lot of things we're going to be talking about today. Sorry, I'm used to doing these at night. Today, and I just want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to get the knowledge, get the information, right? Get the data that we're going to be sharing with everybody. So we're going to be covering Wheeling Township today. We're going to be talking about appealing, specifically property assessments, reassessment notices, exemptions, discounts, all of those types of things. So let's get into it right now. I'm going to share my presentation.
All right. Let me turn off the music. 1 second.
One more round of applause for Angelina. I also want to give a shout out to the rest of the communications team. They are in the chat right now. What does that mean? What do you mean they're in the chat? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are like me and you have lots of ideas running through your head, but you don't want to forget what you're talking about or whatever your question is going to be, go ahead and add them right now. Go ahead and write them right now into the comments section. Our team is in the background answering these questions, and I will then, at the end of this presentation, will be answering these questions live. So please, 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 don't forget your question. Go ahead and write it down. I promise we're going to take care of it. And before we do anything else, I'm going to say hi to Stella Black because I already know she's going to be in there. She's in every one of these that we do. So how you doing, Miss Stella? Now let's get into it. So let's go. So the responsibility of the assessor's office, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot. But we're going to break it down to a couple of things that we do, right? Some of the things that you can see on the surface level. So it is our job to put a value to 1.9 million different properties in Cook County. You heard that right, 1.9. It's almost 2 million different properties. Guys, this is what our job is. How do we do this? Do we pick a number out of a hat? Do we throw darts at a wall? Absolutely not. We determine the value of these properties by doing what's called a mass appraisal system. To make it fair, to make it transparent, to make it ethical, that is the way we are doing it, and we have been doing it since this administration took over. Now, couple of different things our office does. We provide discounts, also known as exemptions. We also provide a way for you to contest the value that our office has given you. That's what's called an appeal. That's what we're going to be covering of a lot of what we are going to be covering today. Here's what we don't do. We don't issue the tax rates. We don't issue the tax levies. We don't issue the equalizers. We don't do any of those things. We don't issue tax bills. You don't pay our office. None of that. We're responsible for the value and the discounts. That's what we're responsible for. You guys are currently in your triennial. Every 3 years, properties in Cook County are being reassessed. As of right now, the northern suburbs is what is being reassessed. So that includes Wheeling Township. Next year is going to be the south and the western suburbs, which is where I live at, of Cook County. And then the year after that, or last year, however you want to do your math, Chicago was reassessed. Every 3 years, these properties get reassessed. Your deadline for Wheeling Township is November 10th. Listen, that is, let's look at the calendar. That is exactly 15 days from now. Ladies and gentlemen, we do these events every day. We deal with taxpayers every day. Please do not wait to the last moment to file your appeal. If you're going to appeal, you have 15 days. I am more than confident that after I give this presentation, you're going to want to do it today as soon as possible. So you all in Wheeling Township should have received this document on the screen. This is a reassessment notice. Now, what the heck is a reassessment notice? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what our office sends you and tells you what we believe your property is worth based on the uh, um, the mass appraisal system. Now, there is some very good information on this reassessment notice. Here is your estimated fair market value, your PIN number, your neighborhood code, your property characteristics, your assessed value, your square footage. All of that information is available here. And if you choose or if you're planning on appealing, you're going to need that information in a little bit. Let's give you some data. Our office has been at the forefront of being transparent, right? This is the first time in government history where we have literally just given everyone the data, all the data that we have. But what does that mean? How does this translate to anything tangible? How do we figure this out? I'm going to show you. So right now, if you're interested in the data for Wheeling Township, that's what we're going to be talking about right now. You would go to cookcountyassessor.com/Wheeling-2022-residential, and it will bring you to this chart that we have right here. This is the data for Wheeling Township. As you can see, single-family homes since 2017 have been increasing and are now, the average now for single-family homes is 360,000. For condos, that value has been increasing as well, but it's not quite as high as single-family homes. So the condos in Wheeling Township are averaging around 161,000, and in multifamily homes, they're averaging around 534,000. And again, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. That's against the law. However, look at your reassessment notice. If you're a single-family home, are you within 10% of this 360? What if you're a condo? Are you within 10% of the 161? Or multifamily homes, are you within 10% of that 534? If the answer is yes, you can still appeal, but you're kind of where you're supposed to be. If the answer is no, then you should absolutely appeal. And fun fact, we got an award last year, and when Angelina comes back on, she'll show it to you. She has it on her desk, of where our values, I know some people think they're crazy, but they were actually on course for what values were supposed to be. Like, we were in line of where values were actually supposed to be. We actually got an award for that. So that kind of lets you know that we're taking things into the right direction. So what's another way for you to check the data, right? Because we're talking about data, and we can show you all the pretty charts we want, but how can you investigate? How can you do the work yourself to make sure we're not just giving you false information? Very easy. Again, cookcountyassessor.com/Wheeling-2022-residential. You can get to this chart right here. And actually, this is not interactive, but if it was, you could literally hover over these different neighborhood codes. Now, I'm going to make up a neighborhood code because I don't live in your township, but we're going to say neighborhood 10. You can click on neighborhood 10, see all the properties within neighborhood 10, and kind of see where you fall in with all the other properties. This is a unique tool, and it's super fun to use. I play with it all the time, and it's just cool to see where my property is compared to everyone else's, because then it kind of brings me to reality. Like, man, my property kind of is high, but it's equal to everybody else's, so that probably means our tax bill isn't going to increase this much either, right? We're going to talk about that in a second. Here is your tax bill. Again, our office does not issue this. This is issued by the Treasurer's Office, but you do get 2 of these a year. The first one is blue and is issued in February when it's cold outside. It has 0 exemptions, and it is 55% of the previous year's total tax bill. Now, when I say 55%, logically, when I go to the second installment, people say, oh, so that one is 45%. Unfortunately, that is not correct, right? The first installment and second installment are separate and unique. They have nothing to do with each other. The second installment is yellow, typically mailed out when it is warm outside. This year is going to be mailed out in November. And this is the tax bill that has your discounts on it. So if you look at the bottom left-hand corner where it says tax calculator, there's where you'll see your homeowner's exemption, your senior exemption, senior freeze, disabled person, disabled veteran, returning veteran. All of those exemptions that you may qualify for and may be receiving will be listed there, except for the long-time exemption. The long-time exemption, I don't know why the Treasurer's Office does it this way, but it's listed under important messages. So that's the only outlier that you'll see. So why would someone be appealing? That's the question we get all the time. Why would I do this? Well, I can't tell you why you should, but here are the top 3 reasons on why someone would be appealing. The first one is lack of uniformity. That just means myself and Angelina live on the same block, house built by the same size, same person, same color, same blueprint, same whatever, same everything. But for whatever reason, her value is less than mine, which probably means my tax bill is greater than hers. And I want to know why mine, if it is the same, why is it not being treated like it's the same? The next one is overvaluation. That's probably everybody here, right? There's no way my house is worth this much. If my house was worth this much, I would sell it to you right now. Matter of fact, here are the keys, right? That's probably going to be everybody here. The third top reason is incorrect property description or property description error. That just means there is a factual error. Well, what the heck is a factual error? Well, factual error means like something's really wrong, right? That means we're assessing you at, for example, you have we say you have 3,000 square feet of a property when you really have 1,500. Or we say you have a condo, but you really have a single family home, right? It's something like that. There's a factual error. Here are some other ways you can check the characteristics of your property. You can go to our website, cookcountyassessor.com, put in your address or your PIN number, and there this information will populate for you. Here you can see the square footage, the construction type, garage size, basement type, all of that information, the age of the property, square footage, all of that can be listed here. And this will come in handy specifically for those who are appealing because they think their square footage is wrong, or they think, there's just a factual error. They think, hey, there's no way you guys say I have 4 bedrooms. I really have a studio apartment, right? Like studio condo, something like that. This is where that information will be important. Sorry. Your assessment, we already talked about this, if it's close within the 10% of the medians we discussed earlier, can you appeal? Yes. Will you see a reduction? Probably not. I don't want to discourage anyone from anything, but I'm just being honest, guys. We're just trying to be transparent, ethical, and just truthful, man. We don't want to finesse anybody out here, right? If your assessment is not within 10%, meaning it's greater, then you definitely want to appeal. If your assessment is under the 10%, just hang out, don't tell nobody. They're going to be mad, So, filing an appeal. What's the process look like? Super simple. You're going to get your reassessment notice, which we already talked about that. If you disagree with the value, matter of fact, if you agree with the value, you have nothing to do. Hang out till next year. If you disagree with the value, then you absolutely want to appeal, but you have to have a reason. We're going to go over those reasons in a little bit, but you can't just say my value is too high. What does that mean? You have to show us, and I'm going to show you how to show us. After that, an analyst is going to review your appeal and decide if you're going to get a reduction or not. If you get a reduction, you're going to get a decision letter. That decision letter is going to be mailed to you, and it'll say, congratulations, we're going to lower your value by such and such amount. If you're going to get a no change from your appeal, then you'll get something that says, sorry, due to the uniformity of your neighborhood or your township, we are going to not lower your value, and they'll give you some specific reasons why. How do you go about starting an appeal? Super easy. Go to cookcountyassessor.com. Guys, you can do this from your phone. You can do it from your tablet. You can do it from your laptop. You can do it from the couch, from the bed, from the sofa. You can do it from anywhere you want. The privacy of your own home. Here, you would go to cookcountyassessor.com/online-appeals. You would start your appeal. You could edit your appeal. You could, You can edit your appeal. You can upload supporting documentation. You can do all of those things, and it's free with our office, by the way. But the moment you click submit, you are done. You cannot edit your appeal. So again, you can do all of these things: save, edit, review, remove stuff, add stuff, all you want. But the moment you click submit, your appeal's done. A quick reminder, Wheeling Township is open until November 10th. That's the last day you can file your appeal, so please be on time. So filing an appeal. Now I'm going to walk you through it. You will go to cookcountyassessor.com, and click appeals, file online appeal. When you click file online appeal, this is what your screen will look like. You're going to scroll to the bottom. And it's going to ask you what kind of appeal you want to do. Now, we have multiple appeals, as you can see. The 3 most common are residential, condo, and commercial. We're going to be focusing on residential today. In order to begin, you do need a valid email address. So, happytaxpayer@gmail.com. Go ahead and put in your password and click login. Once you click login, you're going to get a list of available filings. You're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and find residential assessment appeal. Again, if you're a condo, yours will be right here where it says condo co-op assessment appeal. And if you're commercial, you would do commercial assessment appeal. But what we're talking about today, we're going to focus on residential. Now, to begin, you just click begin filing. And this is where it gets fun, guys. Literally, once you put in your PIN number and click search, this information will be auto-populated for you. So just make sure it's correct. Click start filing and ignore Norwood Park. This is just a screenshot from an appeal I was helping a taxpayer with earlier. Here, just make sure you check just for the rest of this presentation. Anytime you see something with a red star or a check box, just make sure you check it. That's the only way you can progress to the next portion of the appeal. So you would check the boxes, click next, and then here this will auto-populate for you. Just make sure this information is correct. Also, they just want to verify, our office just wants to verify this, you're appealing the right property. Want to make sure you didn't transpose a number or something. Next, we need to know, is this an appeal just for this year, or do you have some unique situation where we need to go back a couple years? You can leave this part blank and just click next. But if you do have, for example, a square footage issue and we've been assessing you incorrectly for multiple years, you would just click the years that you believe we were assessing you incorrectly for and then click next. Here we need to know, do you have a prorated property? Prorated property means you have more than one PIN number for the same property. How do you know if you have a prorated property? You would know. You would get 4 tax bills instead of 2 a year. You would get 6 tax bills instead of 2 a year, right? You would have multiple things. If you're not sure if you have a prorated property, you probably don't. So you can ignore this and just click next, which is at the bottom. Now we need to know who you are. Are you the taxpayer? If so, the little red star. What do we do with red stars? We make sure we answer that question. So you click the red star, click taxpayer, same thing for the next one, and just click next to each question. And now we need to know the address of the property. So if the property you are appealing is the property you live at, this will auto-populate for you. But if it's not, just go ahead and fill it in. Also, if you're appealing a rental property, which you can do, you want to make sure you give us that information here as well. Click next. And once you fill in this information, again, it will auto-populate for you. Just make sure this is correct. You would click submit. You would click select and then click next. Here is the property characteristic page. So earlier we talked about how you can view that information on our website. That information is also, some of it is also on your reassessment notice, like your property class, things of that nature. So if you believe yours is incorrect, this is where you would edit it. You would say, hey, my property is not 100 years old. It's really 200 years old. I'm just making numbers up. Hey, I don't have a 1-story property. I have a 2-story property. Oh, hey, I don't have central air. I do have central air. Whatever that is, you just fill out this information here. If you believe your information is correct or you don't want to mess anything up, just leave it blank, go to the bottom, and go to next. Now, here's where it gets unique. Some of you all are going to say, hey, my property's overvalued. Or, hey, my property, I'm being charged way too much. There's no way. I actually tried to sell my house 3 months ago and I couldn't for that. I wasn't getting that much for an offer. So you need to let us know how much you believe your property is worth. There is the off chance, not saying that we're perfect. I wish we were, but we're not. You know that. We know that, right? That's why we do these things. So we want to make sure that we're being as fair as possible. So go ahead and tell us what you believe your property is worth. Then we need to know, why are you appealing? What are your reasons, right? Earlier we talked about if you're going to appeal, you need evidence. So that's what I'm going to talk about right now. A lack of uniformity. How are you going to prove that your value is different than everybody else's? We're going to talk about that. Overvaluation. How are you going to prove that? Vacancy, occupancy. How are you going to prove that? Fire damage. Property description, error. Building no longer exists. Building is uninhabitable. How are you going to prove all of these things? You can submit additional documentation to prove these things, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But we also need to know, what kind of property do you have? Do you have a single family home? Do you have a building with 6 apartments or less? Do you have a mixed use? Mixed use means you have like a business or something on the first floor and you live on the second floor, something like that. Do you have a townhome? Go ahead and click the reason why you're appealing. Also, when I don't do these presentations, I answer emails all day. I've been getting a lot of emails about people saying, hey, can someone come out to my property and actually remeasure it? Of course we can. Is there a fee for that? Absolutely not. So this is where you would request that at. Right here where it says field check request, just click the down arrow and click yes. Someone will actually come to your property actually redraw and remeasure your property, and that way you can have the most accurate information on your home. But when you're done with all that, you click next. So here is where you would find comparables. Now, how do you prove overvaluation? How do you prove lack of uniformity? By providing comparable properties. So how would you do that? Right here, all of these drop down menus, this information is identical to what's on your reassessment notice. So when it asks for your property class, you would put down the property class that you have. When it asks for your neighborhood code, you will put down the neighborhood code that you have. When it asks for the, how old your property is or what kind of basement you have, you would fill that information in with the information that's on your reassessment notice. Once you do that, you will get a list of comparables that you can pick from. But what if you have a specific one you want our office to look at? Maybe the guy across the street, that one for sure is being assessed lower than yours and it's your twin, right? Maybe you have a specific one. Maybe you don't want to look through a bunch of them. Maybe you got a couple of them that you know for sure. Well, that's what the bottom portion of this is, where it says custom additional search criteria. You can go ahead and put the PIN number in. You can go ahead and put the address in, and you can use that as well. Once you pick or use a comparable, it's going to auto populate at the bottom, and we just want to make sure this is the correct PIN you want us to use. So just double check your work. Once you click next, it'll give you the information, the property details, to make sure this is in fact the one you want to use to compare. And if the answer is yes, you just click next. Now here's where it gets spicy, right? Here you can upload, where it says attachments, you can upload additional documentation, so like pictures, sales analysis, appraisals, appeal narratives. Maybe you had a fire and you want to submit, police reports, fire reports, insurance claims, things like that. All of that can be submitted here. So that's where you would submit all of your additional documentation. Now we're at the end. We're ready to submit, right? So here we need your name, we need your phone number, and we need your email address, and then you would click submit. Now, once you click submit, you're going to get a giant, "Are you sure you want to submit this filing" page. Ladies and gentlemen, up until this point, first of all, as Ms. Gale said, you don't know Ms. Gale, but she's one of our coworkers. One of our coworkers says, if you don't get to this part, something's wrong. Something happened, right? So, but once you get to this screen, you're still able to edit, to change, to remove, to add things to your appeal. But once you click yes, we're going to ask you, are you sure? Once you click yes, then your appeal is submitted, and this is your confirmation page. We get this question every day. Hey, I filed my appeal, but I didn't get a confirmation email. That's because this is your confirmation page. Will you get a confirmation email? Absolutely, just not right away. That's why you need to screenshot this or print this out, because this has your filing ID number on it, and that's how you kind of can go back into the system and see where in the steps of your appeal actually is. Fun fact, the reason why we need your mailing address is because we do not send decision letters digital. Those are easy to Photoshop. Come on, right? So we're going to mail them to you. That's why your results will never be sent to you by email. Your results are going to be mailed to you. So be on the lookout for those as well. The other thing our office does that we talked about earlier was exemptions. We have the homeowner exemption, the senior citizen exemption, the veterans with disability exemption, my favorite exemption, returning veterans exemptions, person with disabilities exemption, senior freeze exemption, the home improvement exemption, and the long-time exemption. Actually, we're going to have somebody put the link to these in our comment section so that you can see the videos that we have created for these. So I'm not taking up much time on there. But in a nutshell, if you own an occupied property, you might be eligible for an exemption. It just depends on which requirements or which exemption you're trying to file for. Can you mix exemptions together? Absolutely. You can combine up to 4. However, there are 2 sets that you cannot combine. You cannot receive the veterans with disability exemption and the person with disability exemption because they do the same thing. And you cannot combine the long-term exemption with the senior freeze exemption because in a nutshell, they do the same thing as well. To check your property's exemption history, your appeal history, your assessment history, read about assessments, look at the data, you can go to cookcountyassessor.com and you can look up all of that information there as well. I know we're going to get this question in the comments, so I'm just going to address it right now. Why can't I file an exemption? Well, because exemptions were due August 26th. It is October 26th, so you're past the deadline. However, you can file what's called a certificate of error. Certificate of errors allow us to go in and actually, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. Maybe you forgot to submit it. Maybe it got lost in the mail. Maybe your dog ate it. Who cares? For whatever reason, you did not receive your exemption. So our office can actually go back up to 3 years. So we can go all the way back to 2018. We're going to do 2018, 2019, 2020, and the current year. For 2020, 2019, 2018, you can actually file your certificate of error now. For 2021, you have to wait. That's going to open up in November, and then you can file your certificate of error there as well. All CFEs are due by December of 2022, so we can make sure we stay on track and in time for everything. We are socially active. We talked about this already. All you have to do is call our office, 312-443-7550. If you have an iPhone and you open up your camera app, just hover over this QR code. This never works because the screen and the screen, they don't like each other. But you will get our Linktree account. From here, you can go to our website. You can make an appointment. You can look at some of our information. You can look at appeals, exemptions, download our brochure guides, racial equity stuff, look at property details, get information, sign up for our newsletter, attend a virtual or in-person workshop, certificate of error. All of that information is available here. It's also available on our Facebook, on our Twitter, on our Instagram, on our YouTube. All of that information can be accessed by you from the comfort of your phone, your tablet, your laptop. I'm pretty sure soon you're going to be able to do it on your Apple Watch. You can do all those things, guys. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of here, and we're going to do the Q&A, which is my favorite part. So we're bringing back Angelina. Let's go. Tag team?
Hello, Hector. Yes, my favorite part.
Team, back again. Let's go.
Our favorite part. Okay. Yes. We don't have too many questions, but this is a good one. Kevin Burns, why does the county state multiplier why is it still growing?
I would love to answer this question. So Cook County, can I answer it?
Sure. I have it pulled up though, if you need it.
Okay. So I'm assuming you're talking about the state equalizer. When people say state multiplier, I'm assuming they mean state equalizer. If that's not what you mean, just go ahead and let us know. But the state equalizer, so check this out. Cook County is unique, right? We are the only county in Illinois that is assessed differently than all the other counties. What the heck does that mean? Well, if you live in like Will County or Kankakee County or DuPage County, your property taxes are assessed at 33 1/3%. That means if your home is worth $100,000, your taxes are based on $33,000. Very simple across the board. Cook County, we are different. If you're a residential property in Cook County, you're assessed at 10%. That means if your home is worth $100,000, your taxes start at $10,000. If you are a commercial property, you're assessed at 25%. So you can do the math. So the Department of Revenue comes together and says, what number do we need to create that makes Cook County equal with all the other counties in Illinois? That is where that number comes from. That number is not decided upon by anybody you voted for or from our office or the treasurer's office or the clerk's office, nothing like that. That number is actually given to us and decided on by the Department of Revenue. Hope that helps you, Kevin.
Nice. And yeah, I did pull up the numbers. So it actually decreased. So they just announced the 2021 multiplier, and it's at 3.0027.
Let's go.
Last year for tax year 2020, it was at 3.2234. So it actually did decline slightly. And that was a great explanation, Hector. The way that you explained that was perfect.
This is literally my favorite part of my job.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin Burns was really the only one asked. I think he knows you.
I don't know. Maybe.
He gave you a compliment. Hector is the best.
Oh, let's go, Kevin.
Thank you. Well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I can't tell from the picture. My screen is very tiny. But Kevin, if we do know each other, don't say that. It comes off wrong. But if we don't, thank you for being kind. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. I love my job. I love doing these things. I love answering questions. This is what I do, man. I love it.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of questions this round.
It's fine because once we post this and people are going to see it, they're going to ask questions and I'll jump in and be able to answer them. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I like it.
Yeah.
But what you guys could do while you're listening, please tag somebody in the comments who needs this information. We literally see realtors all the time. I wish I had more information. I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. Here's your chance, right? Tag somebody in the comments. Say, hey, you need to know this. Or Maybe you're a neighbor of someone who's elderly and doesn't really use the internet, doesn't really have access to the internet, or doesn't really know how to use it, like my grandma. And you can help. You can just be a good neighbor, give them this information, tag them below, or tag yourself so you can show it to them later, however you guys can. But sharing is caring, and knowledge is power. So please, 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 let's be good neighbors, like Mr. Rogers said, and help each other out.
Yep. Thank you, Hector. I think we're good. No one else. Oh, let's see. We got a comment.
Miss Taylor,
Of course.
When will the second installment be due? So we are being told that the tax bill is going to be mailed in November, which means it'll be due by December 31st. So you can go ahead and be on the lookout for that. We want to make sure everybody gets everything they have or they need before the end of the year. Oh, great question. We got a YouTube
we got another one. Ooh, YouTube question. We love these. How many years to qualify for long-time owner exemption?
Awesome. So to qualify for the long time, there are 3 requirements. The first one is that you must own and occupy the property for 10 consecutive years. So we're going to assume you're talking about this year, the bill you're about to receive. So to qualify, you must have owned and occupied it January 1 of 2011. That's requirement number 1. Requirement number 2 is that you do not make more than $100,000 as a total household income gross. Now, there is an income verification form that comes with this, so you will have to fill it out. It's almost, not quite, but almost identical to your W-2, so just look at them and check. Look at them and check. And we need the income from last year. So it won't be the income for 2022 because you don't have, well, maybe you do. I don't know. You might not have that yet. And then lastly is that your equalized assessed value. So that's your assessed value multiplied by the state equalizer has increased significantly every single year depending on which township you live in. Each township's math is different. Some townships, the math is different within itself because it's such a big township that there's different tax rates for those as well. So the best way to figure this out is 2 ways. One, if you do qualify, our office would have already mailed you out the application back in April. If you didn't get that, but you believe you do qualify, that's fine. We're not perfect. Maybe we got it wrong. If that is the case, I know that in the comment section, the link to our general contact is there. Go ahead and send us an email. We can literally do the math for you, and we can explain to you why you do qualify or why you do not qualify. But most people don't qualify because of the math, and that's because only 2% of the county actually qualifies for this. Fun fact, last night I was at an event, and I was told that taxpayers are being told that the long-time exemption no longer exists and hasn't existed since 2007. That's not true. That's fake news. It definitely still exists. There are people still getting it. It's just the amount of people who are getting it is smaller now because what happened in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, property values decreased, and in order to qualify for this exemption, the property values must increase. Sorry, right. that was long. My bad.
No. I mean, that's a complicated one. Yep. I think that's it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for spending your time with me. You literally could be doing anything else in the world. I hope your lunch was good. If it wasn't, I'm sorry. I'm going to go eat lunch now. You guys have a great day. Love you guys. Be wise. Be safe. Have a great time.